Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at today's Town Hall. I'm Emma Hoxbergen, and I'll be hosting the event this evening. Now, as you know, today we're here to discuss car culture and how we can sustainably develop our car culture for a better future in our region. I'd like to thank you all as community members for coming along to engage in this evening's discussion. We have two government representatives here with us tonight, Josh Wilkinson and Alexi Barnstone, who will talk you through a range of sustainable development initiatives to address our current unsustainable car culture. And we look forward to making some progress by conducting community votes to determine which initiatives should be implemented in our region. But before we get into that, I'd like to take this opportunity to quickly set some context for the discussion this evening. First of all, what do we mean by sustainable development? The UN defines it as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It calls for concerted efforts towards building an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for people and the planet. While we acknowledge that there is contention around the concept from experts such as Banerjee and others, and although this definition does have some flaws, we as your government will continue to use this framework given our current context. We'd like you to please keep this definition in mind this evening, as this should help you to inform decisions as you cast your votes for your favourite initiatives. Secondly, to set the scope of discussion, I wanted to briefly touch on car culture. Here in Australia, car culture can be observed through our high levels of personal ownership of internal combustion engine cars. This is problematic for several reasons. Beyond carbon emissions, there are also issues of air and noise pollution, disconnection of local communities, mental and physical well-being, including obesity and stress, and soil and water pollution. When it comes to sustainably developing car culture, a lot of the global focus rests on the rise of electric vehicles. However, research suggests that the speed of this transition would not enable rapid enough decarbonisation to hit the Paris targets in time. But more importantly, EVs do not address the issues beyond carbon emissions, as they perpetuate the same inefficient system of transporting people around, often travelling alone across significant distances, which contributes to traffic congestion and road accidents. So, the sustainable development initiatives that we'll be discussing tonight fall into two broad segments related to car culture. Firstly, initiatives within sustainable cities, and secondly, initiatives within cultural shift. I'll now hand you over to Government Representative Josh, who will talk you through sustainable cities. Over to you, Josh. Josh, that's enough info. Now time to vote.
Wow, can't believe they made the decision. Well, Emma had to leave for an emergency and Rika has Ritika. Thank you for your input and excellent decision. Now moving on to the next topic of culture shifts.
Alexi, I think they get the options. Voting time.
Our second host, Whitaker, have to leave, so I will be hosting the conclusion of tonight's town hall. To conclude tonight's town hall, I'd like to briefly recap by reiterating that our current culture is unsustainable. However, with collective efforts, we can take steps to sustainable development. Through initiatives such as those selected tonight to create a more sustainable city and to encourage cultural change. Thanks all for coming today. We really appreciate your input. Constructive community-based engagements, such as these, are the building blocks of our democracy and help us make sure we, as your government, deliver a future for all of you. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsor, Toyota. Take the high road, explore the world, be independent.